Hi, this is Farrell Dalrymple and the next group of time-lapse compilations and process shots. This is 119 through 134, and the first one up is someone asked me to do a David Bowie on my Patreon. I got it. All these are pretty much now requests on my Patreon, and you can join for just $2 a month, but I'm probably telling this mostly to Patreon subscribers. Yeah, the idea is that I just do a pencil drawing and then ink them with, inking this one with a brush. A lot of these I do with a Faber Castell Pitt pen, and watercolor them, or sometimes I don't, sometimes leave them black and white. But this first one was, someone asked me to do David Bowie, so I did like a Ziggy Stardust era. And I had a difficult time with this one. I'm not really good at likenesses or portraits, and so I thought I'd just do like a weird figure of him, And the background was, I struggled with it a lot. It was kind of, I think a friend of mine said you had to beat it into submission. And I'm not 100% happy about the way it came out, but I spent a long time on it, so we're too long on it, I should say. A long time. But the next one, someone asked me to do a Bjork, and I like David Bowie, obviously, everyone does, and I like Bjork a lot too, but getting likenesses are a big challenge for me. Not necessarily a fun one, but I'm trying to get better at it. And this one, I think I just saw like some image on the internet. I don't know if this is from a particular album where she has the ribbons around her face. I didn't see like a full body depiction picture of it, so I just kind of made up the rest of her outfit and kind of added the ribbons all around. And because I was struggling so much with getting her likeness, I didn't do a lot of time lapse for this, where I did some in between inking and coloring just of her face, and then set the time lapse to get all the minutia, the ribbons and all that kind of stuff, which was I guess, besides getting the drawing correct, was the most time consuming process. Just painting out those little ribbons, and I kind of messed up the initial scan, and I had to redo it just because her hip looked a little out of place. I don't know if you could tell. But this next one, someone asked me to do Peter Bruegel. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but The Elder. It's I think it was a Dutch artist, and there's like this drawing the beekeepers, and so I did a little research, or tried to look at some pictures of this the beekeeper outfit that he's wearing in this, because I think it was just like a black and white drawing, but it looked like someone had done like a painted version of it. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. So I just decided to color him, or color the central figure, the beekeeper, and then I added these bees in the background that weren't in the original drawing. Actually, the original drawing, it extended on the right, and then the left, it was kind of almost cut off, and so I kind of made just one figure a central image, and so everything on the right of him is just a copyist piece from the drawing, and then everything on the left is pretty much just made up by me. So rather than try to paint all that, the background, I just decided to paint the central figure and the bees, and here's just like a regular real time of me coloring the stockings. I lucked out and found like a painting. It didn't seem like there was most of the stuff I found on the internet for this drawing, it was just like a drawing, like a black and white drawing. But there was one painting. I don't know if he painted it or someone else was doing like a copyist piece of it. But it showed the stockings as red, so I was happy to have seen that, because I really like the way this one came out. Probably of all the ones in this compilation, this is my favorite, even though like subject matter wise I probably wouldn't have thought so, but I just ended up liking the way it looks the best. And this one, someone asked me to do an extraordinary grizzly bear, or maybe it was just a bear, but I decided to make him kind of like a giant bear by putting all these vehicles in the background. And then as I was doing it, it's like, oh, I'll make the vehicles little different things from pop culture, things that I like. So there's like a Star Trek Next Generation runabout, Airwolf, Fear Agent, rocket ship, and things like Optimus Prime, and I can't really see the other one, like a land speeder, and then I think, yeah, but yeah, it was fun to do that. And this one, someone asked me to do like a rusted robot, like a giant robot that's all like falling apart, rusted and stuff. And I did something similar a few weeks ago, like a big robot, an old derelict abandoned robot from the Wrenchies, and this one was just more of a, I guess my take on like a Japanese giant robot type thing. And yeah, here I'm inking it, doing it in washes, and add some color on top of that. I'm using the Raphael 8404 brush that I like to use, the Kolinsky. Yes, someone asked me recently to talk more about my stories, my comics and stuff, but it seems like most of the ones I've been doing lately, the requests are just people's suggestions of things they'd like to see me draw rather than stuff from my books. Like this one in particular is a plague doctor, and so I looked up some. I was a little familiar with the idea of the plague doctor. It's kind of timely considering we're in this crazy pandemic times. People are wearing masks. I'm kind of surprised I don't see people wearing these plague doctor masks. I see, a lot of just face masks, but it'd be kind of, considering I live in Portland, you'd think I'd see one or two people doing the, I don't know if it's like 18th century or 17th century or whenever that was, the bubonic plague. But yeah, and this next one also kind of fitting. Someone asked me to do the fourth horseman of apocalypse, which was death, I believe, riding a pale horse and hell following with him. And rather than draw all of hell following with him, I just wanted to focus on horses are hard enough for me to draw anyway. But I thought this one came out pretty good. I was pretty happy with the way it came out, I guess. But I like the figure, the death figure in particular. And this next one, I have a couple of these. Someone asked me to do a couple of classic, movie monster guys. Well, they didn't specify that they were classic movies. They just said the Wolfman, a wolfman, werewolf, not a wolfman, a werewolf, and a Dracula. So this is my werewolf, which I kind of made sort of a wolfman type thing, teenage werewolf. On the Dracula, I wanted I wanted to have my own take on it again. So I looked up a bunch of pictures of Vlad the Impaler, the original, the OG Dracula. I guess there is a Castle Dracula in Transylvania, and there's a dude who used to impale people. And this one, I modeled after a couple of pictures or paintings of him that I saw, but his coat ended up looking like Santa Claus a little too much, which kind of bummed me out. But I like the way I did those bats, and overall, I was, I guess, happy with it. But this one, all these like classic monsters, Universal guys, this was, I guess, next to the Creature from the Black Lagoon, that was probably my favorite. But this is like second favorite. I actually had to visualize this then before I went to bed, and I woke up and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Then someone asked me to do Paul Simon, another musician, which I like a lot. Graceland was like one of the first albums I ever bought. And I think I mentioned this on my Instagram, but I got like approval from the record store clerk buying an album. But and I listened to that album a lot, but the one that really stuck with me is the one he did after that, Rhythm of the Saints. And so this is kind of a Paul Simon from that era, Rhythm of the Saints era. And so I just kind of freeze framed on some shots of the Obvious Child video, because he's like standing playing guitar a lot in that. So I try to keep all these like a full figure at least in each one of them, and that kind of had him standing there playing the guitar head to toe in a couple shots. And the likeness was really hard for me, as usual, but I usually spend the longest time if I'm doing a portrait of someone. That's that's probably the most time-consuming thing I can think of to do. But I feel like all this is making me a better artist. So this one I actually can talk about as a comic, because this is my comic character. It's the third time I've drawn him for these daily drawings. Sinclair is a boy with wings in Pop Gun War, my series Pop Gun War. He's the main character, and his sister Emily plays the guitar and sings and stuff. And she was kind of the main character of the last volume, but Sinclair is like the main, I guess, of the whole series. He's like the main character, and he looks a little older here than in that series. And I'm going to the next volume of Pop Gun War. I'm going to have him be like more of a teenager, I guess, than the younger guy that he was in the first volume. This is someone asked me to do a baseball themed. There was really no specification other than like do something baseball themed. So I did a portrait. I'm killing myself here. I didn't really know what else to do, so it just kind of occurred to me to do Satchel Paige, which seemed like it's a really interesting figure in sports in general. There's a comedian, Greg Proops, that used to talk about him a lot on his podcast, and I would always be entertained by his, all the stuff he would say about him. So I thought, that'd be neat to do a portrait of him. And this next one, someone asked me to do a warrior sea turtle. And this is the third time I've done a turtle with some kind of science fiction-y element to them. And I was referencing a picture off my phone, so there's not time-lapse of the early part. But this machinery stuff and the weapons and things, I just kind of made up. So I just like, I'll just, use a pen on that. And the rest of it I did with a brush, and it was kind of a weird process, because I did some washes before I had like line work done on it entirely. And these are just some still photos of the process. And again, with this one, I struggle with the background a lot, like getting the tone that I want. And I keep working too wet, I think, on these things, and the paper kind of keeps getting a little... I need to have more patience, or just get a blow dryer and try to dry them faster. This one, someone, I believe it was the same person, asked me to do a ninja fox. And I did like a fox assassin recently. And so and he was like a punk rocker, so I kind of had him in black. And I thought like, I'll do it as like a snow ninja, like the Storm Shadow white ninja outfit. And I kept trying to put a mask on her face, actually like a ninja mask, but it just seemed so weird with the way the fox face was shaped. And since like foxes have that white stuff anyway on the fur on their cheeks, I thought, I'll just, she just won't have a mask. It'll just be a maskless ninja. And this one is the Red Robot. Someone last year asked me or commissioned me rather, to do a splash page for their comic book. And I designed this Red Robot character that I put in my last book, The Often Wrong, published by Image Comics, which you can still get at any reliable or decent bookstore, or have them order it for you. It's, anyway, this was probably the funnest one that I've done in a while, or on this video compilation at least. It was pretty easy to get the initial sketch down, and I was pretty happy with the way it came out. And that's it for this time. Thanks a lot for watching this. Check out my Instagram and my Patreon.